entered 3 men who introduced themselves as officers of the police. A scream had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused, and they were assigned to search the house. I smiled and welcomed the officers for what I had to fear. The scream, I said, was in my own dream. The old man I mentioned was visiting in the country. I took the police all over the house and invited them to search. Search well. I led them finally to his room and showed them his treasures safe and untouched. With eager confidence, I brought chairs into the room and asked them here to rest from their labors. Then I boldly placed my own seat on the very spot which lay the body of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them, for I was very relaxed. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted about many things. But after a while, I felt myself getting pale and wished they would leave. My head ached, and I thought I heard a ringing in my ears, but still they sat and chatted, and the ringing became clear, and I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and became more clear until finally I found that the noise was not within my ears. Oh, no doubt, I now grew very pale, but I talked faster and with a high-pitched voice, yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much like the sound a watch makes when wrapped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and still the officers did not hear it. I arose, and I argued about unimportant things in a high-pitched voice and with violent gestures, but the sound steadily increased. Why would they not leave? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy steps, but the noise got louder. Oh, God, what could I do? I foamed. I raved. I swore. I swung the chair I had been sitting on and scraped it across the boards, but the noise rose over it. It grew louder, louder, louder. And still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they did not hear it? Almighty God, no! No! They heard. They suspected. They knew. They were laughing at my horror, but anything was better than this agony. I could hear their false smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, louder, 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 louder. Villains, I shrieked. Mock me no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the boards. Here, it is the beating of his